Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
Have a great hunger for desolate places. They hunger for Arabia. I think you are another of these desert-loving English.
I've been seconded to the Arab Bureau.
Of course I'm the man for the job. What is the job, by the way?
Have you no fear English? My fear is my concern.
We need a miracle.
They hope to gain their freedom. I'm going to give it to them.
The man who gives victory in battle is prized beyond every other man.
It's going to be fun.
He's gone native.
They think he's a kind of prophet. They do, or he does.
It's one more failure, and you will find yourself alone.
Who are you to know what can be done? Nothing is written.
You're the most extraordinary man I ever met.
You are using up your 9 lives very quickly.
For some men, nothing is written unless they write it.
Time to be great again, my lord.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. I am your host, Jimbo, and today I'm joined by actually both.
Both?
Oh, both. Both of us.
Wow.
Both. I can't believe it.
Does both have names?
Both. One both is a Kyle.
Both one and both two.
Yeah, and both two.
Both one, both red and both blue.
Exactly.
Oh, what? Dr. Seuss happy hour here.
Who is both two? Who is both two? The name of both two is.
He still hasn't given his name.
Yeah,
I'm Terrence.
There we go. Wow.
Hello, howdy.
That's both two. I'm
Hey,
both
howdy.
one.
You know, it's a wonder how we ever get anything accomplished when we sit down to do this. You guys see what I deal with when I have to record with these two. So today we are talking about one of the longest, one of the epic movies, one of the proclaimed greatest movies of all time. It's on everybody's list, Roger Ebert's list. The 1,001 movies you must see before you die, and I thought I was going to die before I finished it because it was that long. Top 10 on any list you look at, probably. So
inspired
Lawrence
lots of directors
of Arabia. It's just an epic movie. It's in the categories like Ben-Hur, Gone with the Wind. All those
I
ones.
have a quick question for this week for you guys.
I haven't started yet. Go ahead.
It's okay, but like, who watched this in one sitting?
Not gonna lie, I did. Not gonna lie.
There's an intermission for a reason. You take a break, come right back to it. So I took a break for the intermission, but I did come back.
It took me like 4 days to get through it. I ain't gonna lie.
About an hour a day.
It's like I told Terrence earlier before we were waiting for Kyle to get here. I said, Peter O'Toole spent more time in the sand than David Hasselhoff for Baywatch. I mean, that's how long this movie was.
Yeah.
But then, I watched this before realizing that it was based on a true story. Because I didn't look at any notes. I went in blind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, that kind of, don't want to say makes it better. It kind of, I can understand what was happening more now that it was, you know what I mean? Because it was kind of weird for a long time going through there. So, but we'll get to some of the stuff and why. Let me go ahead and throw another question at you there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that was Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I saw him.
Right when he opened his mouth, dude. I was like...
know that voice from anywhere.
Yeah. And he had a lot of problems with Peter O'Toole, too, which we'll talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into this. This is going to be a long one, so we might lose Terrence halfway through this. I don't know.
We'll find out.
So, Lawrence of Arabia, release date 11th of December, 1962. This doesn't have a rating. Rated NA. Budget, $15 million, which, if you account for inflation, is $138 million today. I looked at the inflation percentage. It was about 804%.
That's surprising. Yeah.
That is crazy.
It is. Opening weekend, USA and Canada, 20.8 thousand. If you can count for inflation, that's 191.8 thousand. Usually we're in the millions, not this time. Gross, USA and Canada, 45.3 million. If you can count for inflation, that's 416.9 million. Gross worldwide, 45.7 million. So it only made about only made about 400. Only made about 400,000 overseas. So we're looking at 45.7 million worldwide, and then if you count for inflation, that's 420.7 million. So it was a rounding success considering how long it is. I couldn't imagine sitting in the theater for 4 hours. Not for this anyway.
Well, they always gave those intermissions too, though. You know,
where you would definitely be taken to that point.
But then again, you go watch Lord of the Rings, and it's almost 3 hours, and you don't bat an eye.
Yeah, I mean, no, still, or Avengers, something like that. Right. Like, still like they're pushing the 3 hour barrier.
Well, the new Spider-Man movie, even it was 2 hours and 40-something minutes. I think.
Yeah, but you don't feel it.
No. This one I had a lot more money
in each scene. Yeah,
I had to empty sand out of my shoes while watching this one.
I had to shave halfway through.
It was long, and there are so many different times and cuts, and we'll get to that in a second. So, box office, 1962. I just got the top 5. So the first is The Longest Day at number 1. At number 2, we have this movie, Lawrence of Arabia. Number 3, In Search of Castaways. Number 4, The Touch of Mink. And number 5, The Music Man.
All I did was put those first 3 together. The longest day of watching Lawrence of Arabia in Search of Castaways.
Fair enough.
If you're a castaway, you just got to watch this movie by the time you finish it and rescue
Somebody
it.
found you.
Somebody have found you by then. This was directed by David Lean, who also directed other movies such as The Bridge on the River Kwai. Dr. Zhivago, I butchered that, I know it. And The Greatest Story Ever
Zhivago?
Told. Yeah, Zhivago, yeah. Zhivago.
It's the thought that counts.
Zhivago. It's Zhivago.
C for effort.
Z for effort.
Yeah, that's how I got by in high school, all right? Robert Bolt. Writing credits. Robert Bolt. A Man for All He also was known for writing movies such as A Man for All Seasons, The Mission, and Dr. Zhivago. Michael Wilson, also, for writing the screenplay, originally was uncredited, but was credited in the restoration in 1978 by the WGA. He also helped write other movies such as Five Fingers, Planet of the Apes, and Tempesta. Music by Maurice Jarre. Also wrote music for, and here's a couple interesting ones. Wrote music for Ghost,
Ghost.
The Ghost?
The Ghost.
The Ghost. That's right, Jimbo.
Witness and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Witness was a good movie.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was an excellent movie.
Yeah. All three of those are good movies. Mm-hmm. Director of photography, we have Freddie Young, down as F.A. Young, who also helped in cinematography of You Only Live Twice, Sword of the Valiant. Film editing was done by Annie V. Cortez. Coates. It's been a long day, people.
Terrence had rare form today.
Yeah, of course. Also helped edit movies such as In the Line of Fire, The Aviator, and 50 Shades of Grey.
Cinema classic right there.
And then produced by David Lean, who was also the director, and Sam Spiegel. This has a runtime, at least at its its theatrical cut was 3 hours and 22 minutes. Then, when it premiered in the UK, which actually is where it premiered first, 3 hours and 42 minutes. It's re-released 3 hours and 7 minutes, so they actually cut it down. But then they restored it, and then it got longer at 3 hours and 48 minutes, which is the longest cut, which is the cut we watched.
And including the intermission, I believe, brings it to about 4 hours, actually. Yeah. So, yeah.
But there's some nice musical scores for the intermission, too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of really good aspects
This is an amazing film, scene for scene, despite there being a lot of scenes.
And, I'll go ahead and talk about it now. And that was the interesting and also equally, like, what do I want to say? It was nice and both not nice that how the scenes were shot. Because they were beautifully shot scenes, but they linger a little too long. Because you see, like, this beautiful, like, desert scene. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, that's really nice. And then it just sits there for, like, 2 minutes. You're like, yeah, I got it.
It's not as, like, it's a modern audience trope a little bit. Like, like now, like, a longer scene like that would have played better probably when at the time of release. Versus now, it's a little too indulgent, I want to say.
But the reason that he did that, the director, is he wanted everybody to feel the journey. Because half the movie is this guy riding a camel, and it's always shot from left to right on the screen, because he's wanting everybody to focus that it's a journey. And how many times did you see him riding camels? This movie, 2 hours, probably. So I think he's wanting to bring you along for the journey of the movie, which we all
don't get me wrong.
felt.
I get it.
And
this was wonderfully shot. There's plenty of amazing angles and scenes, and a lot of these shots that were done outside were just, wonderfully timed. But yeah, no, it is a little kind of like what you were saying, Kyle. It's a little self-indulgent sometimes.
Yeah.
Because that sometimes, if you linger on a lot of different scenes, and I understand that you want to understand the journey, but I also think it takes away some of the impact of other scenes that might have been more impactful if every other scene wasn't drawn out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So typically you want to use a long drawn out scene to really emphasize something, where this whole movie's emphasized of this, like you were saying, this long journey. But because of that, I think that lengthened the movie a lot by just... almost a lot of lingering scenes.
Yeah. Like, I understand. Like, I appreciate the idea of trying to make it an absolute journey, but also to me, I also watch music. I watch movies almost as music goes, where you want to have a downbeat followed by an upbeat, downbeat, upbeat.
Yeah.
And if you watch it from a musical perspective in my mind of in terms of pacing, there's these kind of downbeats of long drawn out shots feel like they go too long to be to help emphasize the high times a little bit. That's just kind of my personal take, but it's still an excellent movie. I'm happy he got the shots, because a lot of the shots just frankly didn't exist before then, so it's still incredible for those reasons. So no, it's just it's one of those things just modern standards move past that a little bit, but it's still excellent.
Pretty much. And now on to the more of the technical specs. We got the sound mix, 70mm 6-track, 70mm prints, mono 35mm optical prints, 4-track stereo 35mm magnetic prints, and Dolby Atoms. This is once again for all the different cuts that there were. This movie was done in color. Its aspect ratio is 2.2:1 in the 70mm prints. Also 2.35:1 and 2.2:1. The camera there was a couple cameras used. So we have the Mitchell BFC 65mm camera. There's Super Panavision 70 lenses. Mitchell FC65 model, the Super Panavision 70 lenses, and those are all the cameras and lenses that were used. So a lot of different takes for different
a lot of different varieties.
Yeah.
Like they had to bring the whole tool bag with them when they wanted to do this whole movie because you never know what you need, and they need a little bit of everything.
This was edited in Technicolor, London, UK. And interesting fun fact about a lot of the filming. So there was some filming was done in Saudi Arabia. There were some scenes that were filmed in Jordan, I think, and then there was a lot of the scenes in the UK were actually filmed in locations where Lawrence himself, the actual person, had been, lived, and in some of the scenes had actually fought, which is interesting. Where was I? Film length. 6,093 meters of the 35mm print, and then 7,616 meters of 70mm. I'm pretty sure this was just canisters upon canisters of film.
Somewhere in the future or somewhere out there right now, there's like a 70-hour cut.
Well, they said when they went to remaster, I think 1989. It's in the notes somewhere. 450 rusted can of film.
That sounds about right.
Absolutely insane.
No.
So how many meters of film did they shoot for this?
7,000. Oh, like a film. I only have the length of the final cut. We don't even know what the how much was filmed. Like, just an absurd amount.
I believe the film In the Heart of Darkness. They have like that was the whole thing like it being it was a shooting monstrosity. So they're like where they had like 5-hour cuts of the film or just reels upon reels of footage because years of development. So like. Close to that, I reckon, of being just incredibly huge.
Right.
And we'll never know the final number because who knows what got lost or what's been saved. They're
still looking to this day.
Mm-hmm. Combing the fields of Saudi Arabia.
Negative format, 65mm, Eastman 50T. Cinematographic process, digital intermediate, which was for the 4K 2012 re-release. And there was a 2020 remaster, which was done in Dolby Vision. Then Super Panavision 70. So there's been lots of different restorations, re-releases, and cuts done with this movie. Printed film format, 35mm animal graphic, Eastman, 70mm Eastman, Technicolor, dye transfer prints, 35mm. And usually this would be a good time to dive into those many different things that I just spatted out. But this is a long one, so we're just going to keep going. That is my part of that, and then my favorite part, which is the awards.
I'm going to have to get a drum set in here next.
All right.
Full on.
Animal.
All right. So
there's the one that starts down there.
Oh well, would you look at that? This one's going to be in reverse order of year of the awards. It's very interesting how I have them organized today.
You're welcome.
2000. So this year, actually, online
last year now.
My bad.
The year has changed. Times have passed.
You mean it's not 2020?
The sands of time caught us all. We're all older.
So last year, 2021, Online Film and Television Association, it won the OFTA Film Hall of Fame.
Huh.
So still winning awards to this day.
Excellent. Good for them.
2013, Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, USA. It wouldn't be a Tragedy of Cinema podcast without us mentioning the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy.
I'm just waiting for the Golden Plunger or the Schmooze Award or something.
Schmooze needs to come back.
We gotta make our own fake awards to award year after year.
We do the Dundies. He has a big part of the Dundies.
What we should do one day is throw in a fake one and then see if people could spot which one the fake one is amongst the actual.
It won't matter.
awards.
You'll slaughter the fake one too. So it won't matter.
Exactly. So they won't know.
This award is the Irish Crab of 1913. Like, wow.
All right, this was nominated for a Saturn Award of Best DVD and Blu-ray Special Edition Release for the 50th Anniversary Collector's Edition Release. International Film Music Critics Award. This was nominated for Best Archival Release of an Existing Score. PGA Awards 2001. It won a PGA Hall of Fame Motion Picture. 1999 Online Film and Television Association. It won the OFTA Hall of Fame for Motion Picture once again. National Film Preservation Board, 1991. That's when it finally hit the National Film Registry. 1964, the David D. Donatello Award. It won a David for Best Foreign Production. And then it also won a David for Best Foreign Actor, Peter O'Toole. And it seems that Peter O'Toole tied with Frederick March for 7 Days in May.
You ever seen that one?
No, it's not. Have you?
Nope.
No? This movie doesn't exist.
On the list it goes.
Yeah.
That's thick reward right there.
Put it on the list.
1964 Grammy Awards, nominated for a Grammy of Best Original Score from a Motion Picture or Television Show. 1964, also Italian National Syndicate of Film Journalists, won a silver ribbon for Best Foreign Director, David Lean. 1964, Kinma Junpo Awards. It won the Kinma Junpo Award for Best Foreign Language Film.
I thought you weren't going to make awards up, Terrence.
1963, Academy Awards, USA. It won an Oscar for Best Film Editing. It also was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role, Peter O'Toole. It won an Oscar for Best Sound, won an Oscar for Best Picture, won an Oscar for Best Director. Man, they're just taking all the Oscars away.
Like
1963. Won an Oscar for Best Music Score, Substantiary Original. Nominated Oscar Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Omar Sharif. Won an Oscar for Best Cinematography, Color, Freddie Young. That one I think is well deserved. Like I said, even though the shots lingered, he deserved that cinematography win right there.
It did miss out on an 11th Oscar nomination for the best costume design because someone forgot to submit Phyllis Dalton's name for consideration.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh man, for the rest of my life I'd be mad at that man.
Mad at everybody. See, that's me. Yeah, right. Did you win an Oscar? No.
I would have.
I did get the note in time.
Nominated for Oscar for Best Writing Screenplay based on a material from another medium. And then won an Oscar for Best Art Direction, Set Direction for a movie in color. 1963, America's Cinema Editors USA nominated for an Eddy of Best Edited Film Feature. The BAFTA Awards. That is a BAFTA Film Award for Best British Screenplay. Also won for Best Film of Any Source. Also won for Best British Actor, Peter O'Toole. Also won for Best British Film. And then finally was nominated for Best Foreign Actor, Anthony Quinn. 1963, Directors Guild of America, USA. It won the DGA Award for Outstanding Directional Achievement in Motion Pictures. Then we have the Golden Globes, 1963.
It's just racking them all in, dude.
Oh, yeah, it's bringing them all in. Nominated for a Golden Globe of Best Original Score. Won a Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer Male, Omar Sharif. Won a Best Golden Globe. Best Director, David Lean. Won Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer, Peter O'Toole. Nominated for Golden Globe, Best Actor, Drama, Peter O'Toole. Nominated for a Golden Globe, Best Actor, Anthony Quinn. Won a Golden Globe, there's so many of these, Best Cinematography, obviously, Freddie Young. Won a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor, and then won Best Motion Picture Drama.
Nice.
Whew, that was a mouthful. And there's more. 1963 Laurel Awards. Nominated for Top Male Supporting Performance, Omar Sharif. 4th place. Nominated for the Golden Laurel for Top Male Dramatic Performance. Once again, Peter O'Toole, 4th place. It did win Top Roadshow. And then it was nominated for Top Song, which is the theme song for this. It was 5th place. 1963 Writers Guild of Great Britain. It won the Writers Guild of Great Britain Award. That's like, you could have shortened that, like, you know, most other really long drawn out. The WGOGB Award.
Lawrence don't do anything short.
OGBYN.
Oh, jeez. Best British Dramatic Screenplay. BYN Award. Oh, my gosh.
Only pregnant women can apply.
Well, been there.
1962, British Society of Cinematographers. Best Cinematography Award, Freddie Young. And then finally, 1962, National Board Review USA. It won NBR Award, Top 10 Films, and it also won Best Director. And those are...
The review. Those are the awards. The awards.
Those are the awards.
Terrence, you can breathe now. That's fantastic.
Terrence needs an intermission.
Yeah.
Took half the movie just to do that.
So, Kyle, why don't you go and drive on over to the cast on your camel?
That's the goal. I got the loots finished. We got them worked out. We got big old cast here. So let's go through it. All right. In the 1960 Lawrence of Arabia, the main character, of course, is played by the legendary Peter O'Toole, playing Thomas Edward Lawrence. He's also best known for possibly playing Henry II in the 1968 film The Lion in Winter. He also appeared in the 2000 film Troy. And he was Palladius Eli Cross in the film The Stuntman. Next up, we have Alec Guinness, the legendary Alec Guinness, playing Prince Faisal. Of course, easily most recognizable for playing Ben Kenobi, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, in the original Star Wars trilogy, or Colonel Nicholson in the 1957 film The Bridge over River Kwai. And he also appeared in the 1972 film Brother, Sun, Sister Moon. Next up,
don't forget about Scrooge. That's a pretty notable one.
That's right, Scrooge. He also Scrooge. Alec Guinness, he's just really trying to, he's just paving the way for Scarlett Johansson to play other characters of other races. And so, good on him for Alec Guinness.
And they want to be mad at Robert Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder.
No, Robert Downey Jr. He'll never be canceled for that. That's great. He owned it. He owned it. It's good. Anthony Quinn plays Andre Abe Taish. By the way, these Arabic name pronounces are going to be difficult for me, so of course I'm going to push them a little bit, so apologies in advance. Or not for that one name.
For our live show, I'm going to make little signs that people can hold up and say, I Terrenced it every time one of you two messes up.
Yeah. We'll invite the crowd to come up to you, like, okay, you think you can pronounce it better? Let's try it. We'll do it perfectly every time. Great. He was in such films as the 1964 film Zorba the Greek. In 1956, it was The Lust for Life. And in 1976, it was The Message. Then we have Jack Hawkins playing General Allenby. He was also in the 1957 film The Bridge over River Kwai, the 1964 film Zool, and the 1959 film Ben-Hur, which we covered on this very podcast.
There's a lot of crossover between this movie and The Bridge of River Kwai.
It's just one of the things, like, if you could be in a World War I or II movie, then you were in every movie.
Well, it's kind of like Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments. There was a lot of
crossover
there
too.
too.
Yeah. So that was like, those were the big ticket items of their era, just like, or like biblical movies or war movies. So just
right.
Well, I think it's also like, you work with a crew and you get along so well. That or it just, hey, we had a pretty good successful thing going. Let's bring a lot of the same people we worked with. And
that's true. That's true even today. So yeah, I believe that.
Well, but this is also during a time where a lot of those guys were under contract with the studios too. So
that's all. Contracts were big, binding, and came with chains.
Yeah.
yes. Okay, next up we have Omar Sharif playing Sharif Ali. He was in the movie such as 1965, Dr. Zhivago, or
Shivago.
Thank you. Shivago. Thank you. I terrorist it. Also, 1984 film Top Secret, and the 2003 film Monsieur Abraham. There we go. Next up, we have Jose Ferreira playing the Turkish Bey. He was in this film as the 1954 film The Caine Mutiny, the 1984 film Dune, the 1952 film, and the 1952 film Moulin Rouge. Then we have Anthony Quayle playing Colonel Brighton. He was in the 1956 film The Wrong Man, the 1961 film The Guns of Novarone, and the 1981 film Masada. Next up, we have Claude Rains playing Mr. Dryden.
We know what he was from, don't we, Terrence?
Oh, yeah, of course.
What was it?
Invisible Man.
He's like, I don't know. I was waiting for you to say.
I, of course, Claude Rains for me, like, always just the Casablanca,
that too, yeah.
Yeah. And he was also in the 1946 film Notorious, and, of course, The Invisible Man, 1933. Next up, we have Arthur Kennedy playing Jackson Bentley in the 1949. He was also appeared in the 1949 film Champion Bright Victory and the 1951 film Peyton Place. Moving forward, I have a next page here. That's only half full, so we're almost done. Donald Wolfett plays General Murray. He was in the 1954 film of Vengalia and the 1959 film Room at the Top and the 1964 film Beckett. Then we have I.S. Johar playing Gassim. He was in the 1978 film Death on the Nile, the 1974 film Rifles, and the 1970 film Johnny Mera Nam. And we have Gamil Ratib plays Majid in the 1960 film from Lashim Da Dimas, and the 1964 film Shadow of Evil, and the 1967 film To Commit a Murder. Finally, next up we have Michael Ray playing Faraj. He was in the 1956 film The Brave One and the 1958 film Flood Tide. Then we have John Demek playing Dowd. He was in the 1959 film Killers of Kilimanjaro. And finally, we have Zio Mohideen playing Tafis. He was also in the 1960 film Khartoum. There we go. And that is a cast of Lawrence of Arabia.
All right, Kyle, I'm going to give this to you since Terrence would probably not be like, I don't know. Go ahead and give us a synopsis of Lawrence of Arabia. Sand everywhere.
He has a synopsis with him. So cruel.
That's a quote. That's not a synopsis.
Yes, but it follows the life journey of T. Lawrence and and his journey in World War I to not lead the Arab nation, but essentially lead an army in the Arab nation to great victories and to taking, what was the last city they wanted to take? What was the name of the last city? Can you remember? No. I don't even remember. No, we don't remember. We're so good at movies, guys.
Well, they were going to Jerusalem, weren't they? But I don't think they made it to Jerusalem. They stopped
that
before.
was the very end,
right?
But there before that,
But essentially,
something with an A.
It follows the life of T. Lawrence's military campaign and both his successes and failings and
very
his struggles throughout,
and romanticized. But yes,
in both accounts, he's both romanticized and infactual in many respects.
This movie set the precedence for based
fact
on
check.
A true story. Well, no. This was one of the when this came out, it was one of the movies that sort of gave a lot of writers and directors inspiration to do more based on a true story movies. At the same time, it was also the start of movies that were based on a true story, but it's what they don't say is it's very loosely based on a true story. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of key figures who are left out, in particular T.W. Lawrence's handler, who was I don't remember her name. I was reading up on it. Very fascinating. And then a lot of sort of the movie showed sort of an ineptitude of both sort of the British military and also the
efficiency
and even some of the people in the seats of power in Arabia itself were they did a lot more than the movie sort of put out. It kind of put all the weight on Lawrence.
Put the weight of the world on Lawrence.
Yeah. It was Lawrence really was the driving force of it. I'm yes, he did do good things, but there was also a lot of other key people who were doing things also. And there were already a lot of things in motion before he even showed up.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, a lot of those, a lot more of those inaccuracies are kind of you have to cut for time or trying to find a way to fit this incredible life into a 4-hour movie now.
True. Here's what's the funniest part is a lot of this is based on his own biography that he wrote of himself. So a lot of these events are in question, and even today historians are did that really happen?
Yeah. There are many subjects kind of questions. So to me the film itself is easier to look as an adaptation of his own biography and not as an historically accurate.
That's the best way to explain it right there.
Yeah, I took the words out of your mouth, didn't I?
All right, so let's move along. Let's talk about this movie a little bit. I think you still have some notes over there, too.
Yeah, I do, actually. So I can start us off.
Oh, start us off.
So here's a fun quote from Steven Spielberg. He said, Lawrence of Arabia was the first film I saw that made me want to be a movie maker. Another quote from Steven Spielberg was, it was in Phoenix. I was 13 or 14 at the time, and it was overwhelming.
Overwhelming of trying to stay awake? Overwhelming of beauty of the cinematography?
Well, that time it was only a 3-hour movie. So.
Yeah, but you still have all those too, I think.
That is also
so.
It was Spielberg's Avengers.
The director's cut.
He would hate that comparison.
On his first location scouting trip in Jordan, director Sir David Lean discovered the remains of the Turkish locomotives and railroad tracks T.E. Lawrence had destroyed during the Arab Revolution. After 40 years of being out there in the sun, they hadn't even rusted.
Wow.
What a archaeological find.
Right?
They belong in a museum.
And so they were.
This movie was actually banned in many Arab countries. Omar Sharif arranged a viewing with President Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt to show him that there was nothing wrong with the way they were portrayed. Nasser loved the movie and showed it and allowed it to be released in Egypt, where it went on to become a monster hit.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he's like, look, all you're hearing is these rumors. Let me show you what it's about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and indeed, like, it's such a film, like,
I mean, once again, it was there was things that were, I wouldn't say it was a bad portrayal, but they did sort of dramatize it a bit much. Like, there are some practices that were, yes, those are practices, but it wasn't as, like, crazily shown as it was.
Do we know if the kid actually died in the quicksand with him in real life?
Okay, so that's another interesting thing. So a lot of those really sandy shots are not accurate of the actual terrain that Lawrence crossed. The deserts that he fought in and crossed were just kind of dry, arid land. It wasn't really sand. It wasn't sandy dunes.
And what was it when they came across like all the seashells or bricks or whatever in this movie with the camels stepping over? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have no idea.
In the middle of a desert. I was like, do you remember that?
No. I remember, but yes, it was very odd.
Yeah.
And interesting choice.
But,
the answer is
dry, arid,
cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to say. That's the big sandy dunes make for great shots, not dry, arid, flat land.
King Hussein of Jordan lent an entire brigade of his Arab legion as extras for the movie, so most of the film's soldiers are played by real soldiers. And that Hussein also frequently visited the set to see what was going on. Costume designer Phyllis Dalton deliberately made Peter O'Toole's army outfit too small and ill-fitting to signify Lawrence's discomfort with his military uniform, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
This movie took longer to make than it did for the real T.E. Lawrence to go from lieutenant to colonel and to see the desert tribes unite and thus tip the balance in the Allies' favor against the Turks in World War I. This movie lasted longer to film. It took longer to film. This is the first time Peter O'Toole tried riding a camel, or the first time he tried riding a camel. Blood oozed from his jeans. He said, "This is a very delicate Irish arse." He warned his instructor. He finally mastered his camel riding techniques by adding a layer of sponge rubber under the saddle to ease his bruised backside, a practical intervention, quickly adoption by the actual Bedouin tribesmen acting as extras during the desert location filming. They gave O'Toole the nickname Ab al-Isfanjah, which means Father of the Sponge.
Peter O'Toole, Father of the Sponge.
That's amazing.
God, put that on a tombstone.
Almost all the movement of this movie goes from left to right, as we talked about. He did this to promote the vision of a journey.
So speaking of interesting like shots and shooting, I got a bit of information that I found really fascinating. So the 35mm Master Introspective, produced by Technicolor in 1966, had a reel 2A flipped. So the left to right became reversed on screen for about 10 minutes on all the prints, including the initial video release of television broadcast. So, with no writing on screen during these 10 minutes, it was nearly impossible to spot these errors. So basically, there are certain parts of the movie that were flipped. They were mirrored. And then during the restoration by Robert A. Harris, Sir David Lean pointed out the error, and then it was corrected. So the version we watched didn't have those errors. This reversal also led to an urban myth about the movie that Lawrence had switched his watch from his left wrist to his right wrist. and due to the reversed imagery of the real A2, it had indeed appeared to do so in the early release of the film. So that's really interesting how an error led to an urban legend, then it got found out and then debunked by fixing it.
Sir Alec Guinness was made up to resemble the real Faisal as closely as possible. When they were shooting in Jordan, several people who knew the man mistook him for the real thing. That's good makeup artistry.
That's impressive.
Well, they do show side-by-side comparisons. What was it? I was looking online of the actors that were
and the people they portrayed.
You know what? They did a pretty good job of
especially for what 1962 is.
Yes, 1962. It's really impressive work done.
Do you think this film would have worked in black and white?
I think it would feel more boring than it was.
Wow.
I think part of what makes this movie fascinating is, like I said, those shots. Part of those shots is, part of just seeing the sunset and the different colors that it brings out in the costumings too. And of course, the outfits have a lot of meaning themselves, and I think you would lose a lot of that in black and white.
There'd be a lot more lost than I think would be gained possibly in black and white.
And did anybody happen to catch if any camels or horses lost their lives due to stunts in this, as we have talked about in Stagecoach, where they just slaughtered a bunch of them?
I couldn't find anything, but I have my skepticisms.
Spit on me, camel.
No, with any production of those eras, like animals tend to be wounded or killed and those kind of things. It's incredibly sad, but we haven't looked up any official numbers about that. Although women have no lines in the movie whatsoever, they occasionally can be seen in the background of some scenes. Regarding Arabian women, tradition forbade Bedouin women from being photographed, so costume designer Phyllis Dalton had Christian women extras dressed up in flowing robes.
Hey, okay, I apologize in advance.
You're good.
But if they had women speaking roles in this, it would have been a 6-hour movie. Boom, boom. I'm sorry. Terrence is now buried in
starting the new year right with a little bit of sexism.
No, we love our women actresses.
Not women, though.
No, that came out wrong too. We love everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Lawrence
We are getting canceled.
I see the views going down now.
I won't listen to Jimbo. He doesn't like women.
Boy, this is going downhill fast. What did I do wrong?
So, hey, the score that was used...
It's a good thing I can edit this stuff out.
Jimbo, I told you I would be your downfall. Let me see if I can do something else to wound you guys. While working on the 1989 restoration of the film, those involved had a hard time locating Arthur Kennedy, or Jackson Bentley, for the voiceover work. They heard he was living in Savannah, Georgia, and phoned every Kennedy in the Savannah phone book. The actor finally returned their call, and he recorded his dialogue on just a 3/4-inch tape at a local television station.
That's pretty crazy.
Cancel yourselves with that.
Well, Terrence. I mean, Kyle. It's over.
You see someone mess up, you just immediately send Terrence.
Initially, the production used white plastic cups for drinking their water, but the wind would frequently pick up and blow them across the desert, so they'd be shooting the film. It would ruin the shot because these plastic cups are flying by, so they'd have to turn it down. So they banned them and replaced them. David Lean banned them and replaced them with ceramic mugs instead. Man. I'm just going to leave that one out because that'll lead me down another
rabbit hole of.
And the actual Battle of Aqaba, 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 I think.
That's what it was.
That's we found the thing.
Lawrence was nearly killed when his camel threw him after he actually got shot in the head.
Oh God!
After he actually shot in the head.
What?
His camel threw him after he got shot in the head. I don't know if it was Lawrence or if it was a camel.
I mean, clearly it was the camel.
Surely it was the camel.
And not so subtle coincidence, during filming, Peter O'Toole was nearly killed. A gun or rocket used to signal action, and the first Aqaba take fired prematurely, and O'Toole was thrown by his panicked camel in front of the charging horses. Other accounts hold that O'Toole was temporarily blinded by pellets from effects guns and lost control of the animal, or that he was too inebriated to hold on. Fortunately for O'Toole, the camel trained for such mishaps stood over him and prevented him from being trampled. So the camel protected him.
The camel wasn't shot in the head.
Well, that we know of.
Movie productions are tough still today, and oh my god, in the past.
The legendary superstar actor Marlon Brando and Albert Finney both turned down the role of Lawrence for this movie.
In June of 2008, the American Film Institute listed this as number 1 of the 10 greatest films in the genre epic. It's in the epic genre.
So this was
I don't know if it was in your awards or not, but I just saw that.
really interesting. Is Andre de Toth suggested a shot where bags of blood would be a machine gun, basically spraying the screen with blood. Second unit.
Wow.
Yeah. So, second unit cinematographer Nicholas Roeg approached Sir David Lean with this idea, but Lean found it disgusting. And de Toth subsequently left the project afterwards. It's like, if I can't spray blood across the screen, what am I doing?
It's a little overkill.
I just want to find out, like, he later found Quentin Tarantino or something like that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because, like, we're not making that movie.
Soldiers from the Moroccan army were employed as extras without pay, which they understandably resented. During off hours, they actually took pot shots at the cast and crew. Sir David Lean included. Others deserted between takes and never came back. I can't pay me. I ain't gonna be in the biopic.
That's perfectly fine with me.
I know, right?
When filming in Jordan, every drop of water for the production was brought in by truck from the nearest well, which was over 150 miles away.
Wow.
God.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This movie had been slated to go in production in 1953 with John Wayne in the lead. Could you imagine John Wayne?
Well, hello there,
playing
Arab pilgrims.
But it... Well, fortunately, I think it collapsed due to lack of funding in 1953. That would have been a much less movie.
Not as great. Yeah. That would have got some of the other end awards. Roster Robert A. Harris, the editor, Ann V. Coates went through 450 rusted old film cans for the 1989 restoration. So that's what we were talking about earlier. That's a lot of rusted old film
450.
cans. Yeah.
Peter O'Toole was often injured during filming. He received third-degree burns, sprained both of his ankles, tore ligaments in both his hip and thigh, broke his thumb, dislocated his spine, fractured his skull, was bitten by a camel, sprained his neck, tore a groin muscle, and was concussed twice. That was just Terrence last year. He also seriously injured his hand during filming by punching through the window of a caravan while drunk. A brace or bandage can be seen on his left thumb during the first train attack scene, presumably due to this incident.
Shoot, I had all that in one of the 8 jobs I had last year.
That's what I said.
Peter O'Toole was also known for attending most of his press interviews after the movie was already filmed, completely.
Well, you're going to come to find out he was filming drunk too here in a
Yeah, he filmed drunk, he interviewed drunk, he did everything drunk. Peter O'Toole loved himself a drink or two.
When shooting, Peter O'Toole and I.S. Johar riding together on a single camel, Sir David Lean saw that they had trouble staying on the camel and wondered why. Upon closer inspection, a large block of hashish was discovered. Both actors were completely stoned, and shooting was abandoned for the day.
It's amazing.
Dude, where's my camel?
Got a hold of that hashish.
Speaking of camels again, when the company moved from Jordan to Spain aboard ship, the camels traveled reclined with their legs drawn up under them so they wouldn't get seasick. After camels got to Spain, they needed a day to recuperate from the ordeal because they could not travel to the shooting locations.
And speaking of travel, with the train track, 2 miles of railroad track were laid for the train scenes. Not only that, it took impeccable planning to prepare that particular railroad attack scene. And the filmmakers could only film the sequence once. So it's one of those things where, like, we're going to destroy a bunch of stuff, or we can only do this once.
Yeah.
After careful testing, they determined that it would take 10 pounds of gun cotton to cut the rails and another 10 to send the train cars teetering off the track. So that whole scene where the train's coming down and gets derailed and everything, they did that, and they only had one chance
to do it. And instead of doing it in Arabia, they did that in Spain too. Another fun fact there.
And to control the train's motion through the desert sand, they had to plant steel plates under the sand. The engineer set the locomotive at full throttle, then jumped off before the tracks exploded.
Wow.
So It's a little action scene behind the scenes of the action scene.
Make a film about the making of this Lawrence of Arabia.
Talk about dedication. We're going to put this thing full throttle. And I'm going to jump off it.
But we only got one take.
But
that would be an amazing film, though. Actually, a film just about the making of Lawrence of Arabia. Not a documentary, I mean a film just to dramatize that.
There's a PBS documentary, I believe, that talks about
but he wants an actual film about filming.
Yeah.
When film conservationist Robert A. Harris and Jim Patton got permission from Columbia Pictures to restore the movie, 4 tons of extraneous footage was delivered to their door. It took them nearly a year to get through all the material.
I bet.
4 tons.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of a little bit of awards ceremony there, kind of Steel Terrence Thunder. There we go, not his thunders. The film was voted the 18th greatest film of all time by Entertainment Weekly.
The charge on Aqaba employed 450 horses and 150 camels.
There's no way that this thing got filmed and nothing happened with any of the animals. I'm just saying.
Here you go. You ready?
They would have tried to cost us at least.
Are you ready? An appearance on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 1992. Peter O'Toole confessed quite proudly that out of fear of falling off during a big camel riding scene, he and Omar Sharif decided to get absolutely hammered and then tied themselves down on the camels before shooting. By his own admission, he was so drunk that he had no idea where he was or what he was doing for the entire scene, which was the attack on Aqaba.
Amazing. Speaking of drinking and him and just traveling all over that camel, during the shooting of this film, Peter O'Toole lost 28 pounds while making this movie.
He also spent 3 months learning how to live as an Arab before a frame of film was shot. He traveled across the desert with the Bedouin camel patrol, and he often slept rough under the stars amidst under silence, just as Lawrence had done as a child.
Wow, that's
so
incredible.
Getting into character, I guess.
Very serious actor. Like drink too much, but very serious actor. Yeah, and throughout his career, Peter O'Toole was notorious for fluffing his lines by breaking into fits of laughter in this film. I can't relate to that at all.
Kyle is the Peter O'Toole of the podcast.
And his first major starring role was no exception. So, yes, quite known for pulling a Kyle before he even knew it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but during that scene, so he was doing a scene with Alec Guinness. And every time he busted in the tent and was going to say his first line, he would just laugh. So they told him to go take a walk. So he walked away, and he came back, got himself under control, and he came back in through the tent, said his line perfectly, and Alec Guinness laughed and ruined the whole thing. So he had to do it again. So he said, got him. He got him back. I thought that was funny, dude. Because, Alec Guinness always took his roles really...
Yeah.
The movie's military advisor, an army officer, went mad with sunstroke, wandering out of his tent in the dark of night and shooting at anything that moved across the landscape with live ammunition. He had to be carted away.
Oh, no. Almost pulled Alec Baldwin. Dang.
Peter O'Toole's performance as Lawrence is the number 1 ranked performance of all time in Premiere Magazine's 100 Greatest Performances of All Time. Anthony Quinn applied his own makeup and would often arrive in real Arab clothes. At one point, Sir David Lean mistook him for a native on the studio lot, and he sent his assistant to tell Quinn that he had been replaced by his new arrival. But there is something in one of your guys' notes about camels and carcasses, so...
We'll see. I'm almost through mine, so we're getting there. We're on the way. Yeah. This movie is also included, of course, on Roger Ebert's Great Movies list. I believe you mentioned that a little bit earlier, Ashley. Now I think I'm being redundant, but yeah, Roger Ebert included this being one of his favorite films of all time. For sure.
I mean, it's been on 3 different lists. We haven't mentioned Robert Ebert's, but we did mention 3 other ones already. So
yeah, I said it was on Roger Ebert's movie. See 1,001 movies before you die.
At the very top of the podcast, you were saying this is one of Roger Ebert's.
It's on all the lists.
Yeah. So it's
shows how much I pay.
And Terrence is asleep.
Yeah, we always watch Jimbo talks. We don't listen to him. Yes, and in fact, it's also 1,001 movies you should see before you die. I think Jimbo mentioned that as well.
I got something here. Property manager Eddie Fowle coordinated the movie to Spain on a large tramp steamer. The strangest part of the cargo was 100 stuffed camels. He had brought the skins from a slaughterhouse in Jordan and had stuffed them in case they were needed for battle scenes, which they were. So it's not that they were from the set. At least they got them from the slaughterhouse where it was already
let me ask you.
But still,
but the camel slaughterhouse, is it for food? Is it just
Who knows? Probably.
At those kind of arid places, you make do with everything you have.
Right.
So, that's one of those things, like, you can't let anything go to waste, including the camels that you used to ride on.
Pretty much.
So I think that definitely is the case. It's like, I'm sure they were consumed. Yeah. Moving on further facts. According to Peter O'Toole, he was taught to ride a camel by the grandson of Adi Abu Tau, the character played by Anthony Quinn. The grandson was a member of the Jordanian Ging Hussein's Desert Patrol. Fun fact. As we mentioned before, where he went to go with the Desert Patrol to learn how to be Arabian. So, really cool.
So I got, when this movie came out, rumors spread that I just burped and ruined the take, all of it. Rumors spread that some theater managers turned down the air conditioning or turned up the heat during the half hour before intermission in order to sell more ice cream and cold drinks.
Fun fact, when I went to go watch Waterworld at the movies, the air condition was out. That was terrible. It was like the middle of summer, 100 degrees in there.
It's terrible. Talk about immersion, right?
During the desert location shoot, after each rehearsal and take, 300 Bedouins wearing sandals muffled in wool were charged with smoothing out the desert sand with palm fronds so that no extraneous footprints would be visible in the sand. So that reminds me of Spaceballs where they're combing the desert.
We ain't seen anything. So good. Excellent movie.
Terrence?
All right. The only studio set built for this movie was on the set of the crypt in St. Paul's Cathedral, London, the location of T.E. Lawrence's Bronze Memorial.
I think that's really cool because that means that they only built one set. Everything else was already there that they used structures.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And Jack Hawkins and Sir Alec Guinness shaved their heads for their roles.
Obi-Wan was bald.
A bald Obi-Wan.
Let's start with Terrence.
Oh,
What did you think of this movie?
Me in the eye.
I know, I wanted to throw you for a
That was really just like, is he confused? And he's having a stroke, folks.
I got sand in me eyes.
the movie, it's drove him crazy. It was too long.
It's only a matter of time.
It dehydrated him. It was a solid movie. So I both really enjoyed it, and then also just had sort of gripes about it. It took 3 days to watch. No, 4 days to watch. About an hour a day. So yeah, it was very long, and it was definitely not something that like held my interest. Like I appreciated the scenes and the cinematography of everything, but I was also sometimes it had trouble keeping my attention. But other than that, like I said, solid movie. Acting was great. Obviously, like, and it's the smallest gripe that I would have about any quote-unquote based on a true story, which is that, it left out a lot of, like, really big key figures, and it really downplayed some others. And especially when people watched this movie and actually took it for face value of, like, oh, yeah, that's what happened, which did happen with this movie, by the way.
Yeah. That is definitely a problem. Like, definitely a problem with based on true story films. Like, we get the revisionist history being played as the real history. And
exactly.
That's unfortunate in many cases. Even if I do appreciate these films, even with their artistic licenses, it is still a bit of a.
And it's easy for us to look at films now and be like, yeah, of course, duh. But back then, it wasn't so obvious when a movie came out and went, this is based on a true story. To know that facts are romanticized, skewed, and left out when it comes to filming these movies, but. Solid movie. If you are a movie buff, particularly like when it comes to cinematography and stuff, it is definitely worth a watch. Would I watch it again? Probably not. It's really long. And like I said, it had trouble grabbing my attention. I'm like, I think we were talking about earlier how movies are long now, but I mean, there's movies that, grab and keep my attention. Where this movie was just like, okay, I gotta walk away every now and then.
Yeah. Terrence, I want to echo a lot of what you said. I think this is actually, I think it would go a little bit further. I think this is it's really kind of a masterclass of filmmaking in many respects. I think it holds up very well today. And I have the benefit of sometimes whenever I'm in the mood where I'm going to clean my entire home, just go through the entire house, I'll have that film actually playing in the background. I've done that a few times before. We kind of had to delay this podcast a little bit, so I have many opportunities to watch this a few times because I have a more open schedule than you guys. And so, yeah, I'd say I'm willing to watch it a few more times and kind of keep it in the background as almost like a mood piece, if you will, to kind of see the amazing shots they have. And that's where those shots don't feel as indulgent, because then I can just look at them like pretty colors and I'm happy. And so overall, I think this is an incredible film. I think it tackles a lot of the... not historically accurate, but it does tackle kind of analyzing who T.E. Lawrence was as a human being, and should he be glorified or vilified or like seen as a victim by the amount of war he's seen and like the things he did over his entire campaign. And I think it does a very good job of kind of like giving a clear idea of who he was as a person.
Or at least who he wrote, how he said he was.
I think the autobiography is still more self-gratifying than the movie itself. From what I haven't got a chance to read it myself, but I kind of read some online reviews about the book, and that's kind of one of those things where like he paints himself in a lighter, shade of a day-to-day than maybe his reality. But overall, I think it's an amazing film. Absolutely worth seeing if you're a film buff or a cinematography nerd, like we all are here. And I think it's just absolutely deserves all the praise it's gotten. Jimbo, how do you feel about the film?
You guys know I love films. I love older films. This one was really hard for me to watch because I didn't know anything about it. All I've ever seen was the DVD covers ever since I was little. You know what I mean? And I'm like...
I get that.
What would draw me to watch this movie? You know what I mean? If I was a kid or if I was an adult, what would draw me to this guy with not a turban, but the head guard. The guard. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
The gaboo.
And the beginning of the movie, I was like, this guy's on a motorcycle. I was like, what is this, The Great Escape 2?
He dies in like the first
that's what I said. That's what I said. So in February 35, Lawrence was discharged from RAF and returned to a simple cottage at Clouds Hill. On May 13th, he was critically injured while driving his motorcycle through Dorset countryside. He swerved to avoid the two boys on bicycles, which you see in the movie. And then he died 6 days later from that.
I do want to say it highlights sort of kind of a motif where he didn't... He was very adamant of saying he didn't want to grow old, and he didn't. And secondly, after the events of this movie, he actually tried to re-enlist several times, but because of sort of his fame, he would keep enlisting under different names. But then they would keep finding out who he was, and then they would kick him off. You're too well known. You got to get out. I believe it was at first you wanted to be a pilot. Got kicked off the Royal Air Force, and then he tried to be in the tank brigade, and then got kicked off when they found out who he was.
And
so he was kind of like really depressed afterwards.
Yeah, and I guess maybe from the last one, from a cultural perspective, the last thing you want is a war hero to come back home and then go back in and die. That's always if you're a country who has him as a kind of a political figure in that mind or a political tool.
Even when he died, he was living under an assumed name too. So it's not like he was so famous. It was just a little village, a cottage or whatever. To me, I'm glad I watched this movie because it is an epic movie. It's an older movie. Is it something I'm going to revisit anytime soon? No, because I don't have 4 hours of my life to waste again.
Never. I understand that.
Now, excuse me while I go binge all three of the Lord of the Rings.
No, but to me, I don't even know how I feel about the movie. Is it good? It's
like in a perfect world, I'd have even more time to spend with it and kind of let it grow on me. But like, it's just we don't have that kind of.
Well, once again, like
luxuries.
The biggest accolades I can give is its cinematography and the acting is good. But as far as like overall, I feel Jimbo on this one. Like that's part of why it wasn't keeping my attention. It's like, what am I? Why am I watching this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was like, okay, so this guy's having, and then you come to the end of the movie and like Alec Guinness is already in there with the generals from the American. And he's like, look, we've already collaborated this together. We're good. You know what I mean? And Lawrence is like, what? He's like, then why am I out here wasting my life, trying to do this? He's like, it was all part of the plan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it was like kind of a slap in his face. You know what I mean? And you even see it at the end, and I feel for him at the end when he's driving away, and you see the people coming back. You know what I mean? And he's looking at him like, man, I should have stayed with him. Is what I got out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or that he has no true home at that point because his loyalties have always been to the British and all that, that kind of like loyalty. But then he has also this strong pull to stay with the Arabians, and so he's a man of two lands that belongs to no one. And it's
So he definitely did become a nomad.
He became a true nomad at that point, and it's sad to see how he's both used as a tool by both political parties in that kind of situation, by both the Arabians and the government he served, and it's a little disheartening and like a little hard to see sometimes because he had these grand ambitions of being like the savior of Arabia in his own eyes. I think he wanted to pretend that he was almost a part of divinity, and have that crushing reality happen where it's like the world keeps trucking on regardless of what you do is a strong, very difficult pill to swallow for a man like T. Lawrence.
So, like I said, that's why we did this podcast, to force me to watch some of these movies. And I did find the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die book. I bought it the other day. So
nice.
It's got a checklist in there and everything. There's some humdingers in there. So we got movies for days. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to wrap this up. I would say watch it once. If you're a movie buff, you might be able to, if you have 4 hours in the day to sit and watch this, or if you want to split it up. I found it easier to digest if I split it up into several days because I'd catch myself dozing off at certain parts of this film.
If this movie was done now, it'd probably be like a limited time series, like kind of like the Band of Brothers, or
exactly.
That's exactly what it should have
been. Or a one-shot TV series or something.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, like one of those kind of series where anything it might even be better that way.
This is one movie where I would understand if people didn't watch it before we recorded.
Exactly,
totally understandable.
Speaking of that, next week, what are we doing?
That's a good question, Jimbo, because I have zero clue. Because
I know you both sent me a list.
I can just name one right now.
Oh, is it a good one?
Yeah, well, I guess we're doing Blade Runner.
All right, Blade Runner, the
original Blade Runner.
Terrence has spoken. So, Terrence, that means you have to show up next week.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, Blade Runner it is. So, Harrison Ford, it's a great movie.
It's been a while since we hit a sci-fi.
Right. Last week. Kyle, Terrence got to use that last. Watch your fingers. Watch your fingers. Terrence smashed his last week. So I knew one of you was going to do it. So I think this epic podcast is coming to a close, and that's a wrap. And
cut.
You did it.
Yay.